talk about building a new industry, okay? There is a book that we primarily work out of to share the basic principles of financial literacy, okay? And in that book, the first page actually, it goes over a few facts about what finances look like in Canada compared to the U.S. So let's read a few of them. So one out of four Canadians has to borrow borrow money to buy food or to pay for their daily expenses. Imagine that. 1 out of 6 Canadians don't make enough money to cover their monthly expenses. All right, 70% of Canadians are worried that they are not saving enough money for retirement. 32% are not saving enough at all. Okay, now the culture is kind of different going to America, right? 79% of Americans feel financially stressed. Half are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, 62% of Americans are living on credit card debt. 37% have the credit card debt maxed out, and another 27% of that 62% don't even pay their bills on time or at all. Okay, so can you imagine that the U.S. is actually in a gloomier state than Canada? And it's
Yeah, I know that.
Why do you think that is?
Well, several different reasons, but it's not necessarily something that it's a quick type of fix. On top of that, there's systems in place that actually, instead of trickling down from the top, it pretty much stays like up top. You barely get crumbs, if anything, from all the way at the bottom.
So you're talking about the social classes, right? And how each social class makes money, but some is able to retain, right? Because that's what it sounds like. You're actually leading to the next slide. Is like the way
I read a lot.
That's awesome. So it's not ironic that the U.S. is in a gloomier state, because a lot of the times we live off of credit. Okay, so it's built off of poor habits primarily. So let's look at the income gaps, okay, and how they look going from year to year. So the income gaps are widening, okay, for certain social classes. So we have the top 1% of our population, which is in the dark green. All right, we have another top 9% that's in a lighter green. The top 50% is in beige, and the other 50% is in purple. Okay, can you even see the purple?
No.
Barely. Okay. So over the past 30 years, it looks like the purple has stayed relatively the same, and the other colors are growing significantly. Okay. 90% of the population is working in that beige area, that 50%, 50 percentile, okay? Majority of the wealth is created in these populations, but the top 5% is retaining the wealth. So how is the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, right? Here's another statistic. In America, the United States makes up 39.1% of the millionaires globally. Okay, and just in the U.S. alone, okay, they create 8.8% of the population's millionaires. Okay, so the percentage of millionaires compared to other countries is higher. What does that tell you?
More money here.
Well, opportunities are not necessarily even, and on top of that, when it comes down to it, the rich are being protected in several different ways to get richer and to stay rich, and so that they don't lose power and influence. Obviously, they're not going to lose money.
Okay, that is true, and we'll figure out why and how the richer stay rich and are able to retain that money. But as far as the millionaires globally, what this statistic tells us is that there's so much opportunity to become a millionaire in the US compared to any other country. Okay? There's money to be made here. There's money to be made here, but it stays up in the top 5%. Okay? So what do the millionaires, look like? It's not your celebrities, okay? It's typically people next door who are taking care of their money and consistently putting into places where their money works for them, okay? And they practice, good practices over a long period of time. It's consistency. So what do the rich know that the poor don't know? Remember I mentioned earlier? Bad habits, okay? Will you agree that, majority that are bad with money or they don't have a budget? What about setting goals? 1-year goals, 5-year goals. Okay? I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of money. I got that expensive taste. I don't know about you. I like to go on trips, I like to wear nice shoes. So increase in debt. Remember credit card debt? That's a real statistic. Okay? Emergency fund. Who has an emergency fund? Just by raising hand. That's awesome. Look at the statistic in the room, I know this firsthand, paycheck to paycheck, okay? So, these are all bad habits, and, not knowing how to invest in your future can cost you money, okay? Not knowing how to develop, better habits can cost you money, can cost you time, can cost you stress. Okay, it's time for a change. All right? Believing that, your bank or your broker is in charge of your money, you can change that. When you join the campaign, there's so much information that you learn, you become your own money manager, okay? You learn how to make money, you learn how to save it, you learn how to accumulate it, and you learn how to protect it first and foremost, okay? So, education, as I said earlier, can save you money, okay? Understanding how money works can save you time, okay? And it can also teach you how to make money work for you. So, how do you build a strong financial foundation, okay? Well, building any foundation, they say build from the ground up, okay? When building a house, what do? You lay the foundation, okay? And how you do that in the financial world, okay, is building or securing your assets with proper protection, okay? Then, of course, at the same time, you're learning how to manage your own debt, okay? You're setting up a time where you can predict, okay, I'll have this debt paid off by this time, and just by doing a little change, you can affect the impact of how fast you pay off your debt. And I'll explain further in the slides to come. Then, of course, we all went through the pandemic, right? 2 years of where am I gonna get my money from? Who has children? Okay, I got small children, they was all out. And I was like, whoa, what am I gonna do, right? So, I noticed that my emergency fund was not big enough, okay, personally. And the greatest thing here is that you learn really fun things about investment. Investment is the last thing that you would want to, once you build your proper protection, you get yourself, you manage your debt, okay, you build up your emergency fund, then you think about investment. Investment is normally the roof, of your house, okay? There's nowhere where you build your house from the roof down, okay? And this is how the rich stay rich, okay, by this. So you build your house up, you must build it from the ground up.